Booking shows has always been one of the greatest pains for musicians that have to do it. It's one of those things where everyone's like,
there's gotta be a better way to do this.
As you trudge through a puzzle of trying to figure out who to even contact and the different things each venue wants. But I have good news. The good people at Playlist Supply have experience in taking technology and making an easy-to-use interface that makes musicians' lives easier. And what they've done here is created a site called Booking Agent IO that makes it easy for you to find where other artists that are similar to you have played, and then you can search it and approach the venues and contact who you should for their booking. It really is as simple as if you know a small act that's like you or someone who has a similar size to you, you can easily look up where they play and get contact info, and you can even look up your favorite touring acts or who you sound like and where they play so you can understand the ecosystem. And as someone who's wasted hundreds of hours of my life looking this stuff up and trying to track down emails, I have to say, this is pretty cool, so let me show you how. So before we get into Booking Agent IO, the sponsor of this video's interface, we do need to find some artists for you to look up. And if you're thinking, Jesse, I don't even know where to start. Well, Chief, that's since you haven't done your community work. And if you don't know what the community work is, well, there's a video I have on how to find your community, which teaches you how to find similar artists to you, local artists to you, and all the artists who you'll get inspired from and use as targets to build your fan base. And this is one of the easiest ways that you can build a fan base is if you know this stuff. So you really should do it anyway, no matter what. And there's of course a video on that that's linked to the description. That's one of my most popular videos. So let's say you have a few artists whose names you can now look up. We can head over to Booking Agent IO. Obviously, if you're first coming here, you can click Get Booking Contacts, and it's going to tell you how to cite it. It's going to tell you the different rates they have. Oh yeah, quick sidebar on their pricing plan. So obviously this site does cost money. After all, they made a really good thing for you. And they have different plans ranging from around $50 to $100 a month, depending on how much you're gonna need to be looking up. And for what I can see in the lowest tier, you should be able to look up a lot in a single month and get a lot done. You can do monthly or annual plans, and like any other service, you get a discount for the year, and these get you credits for looking up the talent buyer emails using their AI that gets you up-to-date emails, since these people come and go from those jobs. And I should say, while many people, myself included, resent AI, this is where I do like it, because it makes a stupid task that just took time away from humans doing more important things and being creative, and now is way easier. No one's losing a job or any creativity for this. Instead, you can be creative instead of doing something dumb that took a long time. All right, so I'm logged in, and so what this site is based around is that you are gonna do a search for an artist, which is why I suggested that you have to do your community work and you have to know this. And particularly, it's gonna be helpful if these artists are not the biggest artists in the world. One of the main things I see where people say, Jesse, I can't get booked anywhere. I'm like, okay, what type of venues are looking? And they're like, well, Big Sean played here. I'm like, bro, you have 150 monthly listeners. You can't play where microscopic Sean plays. We gotta be realistic here. So we need to know some artists who play venues the size that would book you. And yes, there's venues that will book people with 200 monthly listeners if they're particularly in a city. There's people who will book some people with no monthly listeners, if I'm being real, because they just fit the thing and they need to get enough people on the bill if you can bring tickets out. So the point being, we wanted those search for some smaller artists. So I'm gonna do a bunch of artists that are, you know, got some fans, but aren't the hugest of all time. Let's start with this though, because it's easy. Snow Strippers, who I know have done a ton of touring this year, since I'm a big fan and I miss them every time they were in town. So obviously it's searching the world. As we can see, it's all the way over in Europe, the UK where they've played, it's all over the place. So particularly takes a second to search, and honestly, getting that many results that fast is pretty sick. So you'll get this, the pop-up that says that they have some data for you to look at. So let's do this. Let's zoom into America. But like, okay, now we're in Nashville at the Basement East, which is a venue I know pretty well. So it tells you all these emails it has for different people. So that's all the different people it found. It tells you when the artist played there. So we can see, since I'm making this in January, they played there about 3 months ago. So we would assume this is pretty correct. Whereas if the date was in 2014, God knows if this venue would still exist. But it has all the social contacts, has their website, has where their address is, so you can double check. But then you could click find contact for this venue, which is the AI searching for it. And buyer is another word for the booker, that's talent buyer. So you would want to write to this person here. One of the things you could also often see is like the email will just be booking instead of somebody's name. Sometimes that's obviously the booking for it. Let's go to Canada, since that's a foreign country. So here we have La Olympia. So, you got all the same information here. We got that. Oh yeah, and if you look there, we have Marketing Communications Director, Production Coordinator as their titles. So Production Coordinator, that tends to be once you're already booked and not necessarily the booking agent. All right, but let's do a smaller artist. I'm gonna do my friends Wakely, who have some great momentum, been doing some touring, and we'll see what happens with that. All right, so obviously there's gonna be a lot around New York. This is where they're based. Brooklyn, this is Lower Manhattan. Let's do this. Here is the Mercury Lounge. This is a great example. This is probably one of the best venues for a rock band to start playing in all of New York City, because it's an ecosystem where if you do well here, you start playing at their bigger venues. You can headline here first, then you can start to open up at their next biggest one, which is Bowery Ballroom. So it's a perfect example. So if we go in, we hit here. So yeah, as you can see, it's like a capacity of 250. It's a nice, perfect small venue. 150 to 300s of perfect small venue size for those of you starting out. So let's load this up. Right there, as we can see, we got the name and contact for the talent buyer. Okay, but let's do this too. Let's go right down the road to the Bowery Ballroom, which is their next bigger venue. This is a 550 seat venue, so it's a step up. Let's check that out. And now it's looking it up. And sure enough, we have a contact for a GM there. So pretty cool. So as you can see, even if you're looking to book a European tour, this is harvesting all over the world. I think this is the only places, this group hasn't been touring that long. So this is the only places they've been so far, which is still a lot. I mean, they did a full US tour to European tour, but you can get way more elaborate when you're doing artists who've been around the world. So one of the other things to take note of is that you get all these credits per month in the pricing plan. I've just done a ton of searches and I still am only getting charged for each search. So as you're going through these venues, you can really do a lot of searches for the amount of credit you get each month. It's not just gonna tap out after 5 or 10. But I know now that you all have seen how easy this is, what do you even write to these venues? It's actually very, very simple because we want to be brief and get right to the point. So something like, hi, we're Incel Hypebeast, a Greenpoint, Brooklyn-based hyperpunk group with 5,000 monthly listeners, mostly around Brooklyn. We haven't played Brooklyn in 6 months and have released 3 singles since then that have gotten good traction, and we did great when we played at the venue Adults Are Not All Right. We'd really like to open up for a hyperpunk artist next time one of them comes through you think we'd be a good match for. Here's a link, and there you put your most impressive social network, being Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and a YouTube, SoundCloud, or Spotify link, but I would suggest YouTube, especially if you have good live footage. Remember, if you have ex-members, a famous producer, anything impressive, or anything to brag about, let's also get that in one sentence here. But truly, I want you to keep this in mind because so many of you mess this up. Booking agents don't need your stupid bio and story if it doesn't have important details that'll get them excited. Ryan Edwards and Kevin Schlotnick meeting at hockey practice and forming a band is not something they need to know. They need to know, have you played before and will you bring people to their venue? Don't bore them and don't give them too much. Now remember, you can never hear back from these venues sometimes or hear back right away. One of the things that makes this work is that you often have to keep reminding them that you're a solution to a problem that they book. And when they see that they need an opening act at the right time and remember that you exist and they can probably get you to fill up enough seats to get that show sold out, well, they may hit you up. You gotta remember, a lot of booking agents keep the groups that they know they can book locally on file. And sometimes they need to be reminded, or sometimes you need to make a little more progress to qualify for who they're willing to book. So feel free, if you don't hear back, to hit them up again in 2 to 3 months and update on your progress. Now I know some of you are like,
Jesse, I don't have anything to brag about, so this is unhelpful.
Listen, I can't defy gravity here, but I can show you how to jump a little higher. So as we discussed earlier with doing your community work, it's super important. So we're gonna do some easy psychology and networking here if you really don't have much to brag about. So one of the things to remember is almost every artist, even if it's a wannabe Travis Scott, which you could find on almost every block in America, meeting some terrible talentless rage rapper who the only bars they can spit are Snickers when they have a tummy ache, well, even when they make music that so many other people make, they feel like no one else is like them. I know this since I talk to musicians on calls every day, and no matter how generic they are, they feel alone. So use that to your advantage and find a few of them that have have a small amount of monthly listeners and write them and say, for example, "Hey Incel Hypebeast, I've been really feeling your new song, Meet Cute at the Purge. I've been talking to a few other Rage rappers who are all the rage, and I wanted to say, if you can ever make it to Kalamazoo area where I live, I can get a venue to book us." And they replied,
Word, I've been trying to get out to the Cali Zoo for a minute to tap in with a shorty who got an ass like...
Okay, you got the point. So let's say they have 10,000 monthly listeners, and you look on their Spotify and 445 are in Kalamazoo, or even they live close by. That's often enough to do the booking agent the favor of filling up a night where they think that they can get enough people out and do well by their job. So you then hit up that booking agent and say, "Hey, I've been talking with Incel Hypebeast, and they want to come to Kalamazoo on their tour dates, along with this other artist who's doing pretty well like them called Rarefracted Dog Plasma. We'd love to do this date at your venue, and I'm sure we can pack it out. Here's a link to all of our socials and some of our music." So if you've used Booking Agent IO to find out who exactly would have an artist of that size and who books that type of thing, well, you're well on your way to some success, even though you're batting way out of your league of how many monthly listeners you have. Now, what I'd love for you to do if you're going to sign up for Booking Agent IO is to use my link in the description so you can get their most affordable rate, and that link is in the screen now as well. But be sure to use my affiliate link. As well, if you like sites and services like this that make your life easier, I have a link to my musician resource list with 150 of the best tools for music promotion on it that make musicians' lives easier, just like Booking Agent IO. So here's the thing, while you just learned all of this, if you really want to grow your fan base, you need to understand how to find your first fans and find your community, which is on this video right here. So make sure to watch that next if you really want to level up. Thanks for watching.